Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So I'm here with the third update for my Pan That palette for my Naked 2 palette from Urban Decay. So I've been using this palette now for 3 months, and previously at my last update I had hit Pan on Foxy, and before I started this challenge I had used up the shade Booty Call. So that's where I was previously, and now after 3 months this is what my palette currently looks like. So you can see these shades I already mentioned. I had Pan, I had this one used up, and then I have Pan in 2 additional shades. So I had hit Pan in Suspect, that was one of my goals for the month. And then if you can also see in YDK at the very top, I also have a little bit of Pan showing. So super excited to hit some more Pan in this palette. Just really satisfied when you've been using shades like every day and you finally hit Pan on it. So that's what my palette looks like currently. And I'll just go over all the shades and kind of talk about how I've been using them. So first off with Foxy, kind of been using this one the same. I mainly use it as a brow bone highlight. It's a little yellow for brow bone highlight, but if I blend it out, it's fine. So mainly that's how I've been using it. I'm sure the Pan has been growing, but this one's kind of slow moving. I'm surprised the Pan hasn't been growing faster. It might be because this is like a matte, kind of densely packed shadow. You're not going to get through that quickly, but making steady progress on this one with continued use. Then I have Half Baked. I have used this in a few looks over the past month. One of my the 2 goals I had for last month was to hit Pan on Suspect, which I did, and then to use all the shades in the palette. So Half Baked I used in a few looks. It was pretty. I think it's a great like summer shade for sort of like golden sort of looks. I would do sort of like all over the lid sort of looks with it, and it was pretty. It's not a shade I always gravitate towards, but it was pretty. I don't know if I'll be using it that much going into like fall, winter, into like the colder months, but it was pretty for when it was still summer. I'll have to try to continue using this, but as I said, it's not one I always like really gravitate to, but when I do use it, I do think it's pretty. So that's Half Baked. This shade Booty Call is used up, and I have Chopper, which is a little more on the coppery side, a little less golden. I do really like this one. If I had to pick between the two, I'd go with Chopper. However, it is one of those really glittery type of shadows. I feel like the Urban Decay palettes all have like a super chunky glitter shadow. Like the Naked palette was Sidecar, which that was a color I really liked as well, but it was a little harder to work with the glitter, and this one the same thing. So it's one I don't use on like a daily basis because of the really chunky glitter, but I do really like this shade if I kind of can work with the glitter and get it from like going everywhere. But I did a few looks with this. Then I have Tease, and Tease I mainly use as a crease color. I don't use it every day. If I'm trying to do just a quick look, I mainly do like all over the lid type of like colors or looks for like throughout the week, but if I spend a little more time on my eyeshadow, I will use this as a crease color. It is really pretty. I want to try this one out though as like an all over the lid shade to see how that one works out, because I do think it's really pretty, the kind of taupey color. So I do want to try to get a little bit more use out of this one. Next is Snakebite. I have used this I think a few times. It's just like an all over the lid shade when I want to do something kind of like darker. I think I used this maybe once or twice in the past month. It's not one that I super gravitate toward all the time, but I have used it a handful of times. Then I have Suspect, which as I've mentioned, I hit Pan on. This was my sort of go-to weekday all over the lid type color. So I have been using it pretty consistently. Once I did hit Pan on it, I started using a few of the other shades because I don't really want to use this one up per se, like super quickly, or just only focus on this and use it up. I'd rather sort of more evenly use up the things. So now that I've hit Pan on it, I kind of want to focus on some of the other shades before I kind of go back to this one and like actually finish it up. But that's Suspect. Then I have Pistol, which is really pretty. I've actually been liking Pistol and Verb a little more. Those were ones when I started this project I was a little hesitant if I would really like using them, but I've grown to actually like them a lot more. So Pistol and Verb I mentioned before, I like to layer them together and do looks with them together. But this past month I have been also enjoying using these two alone. So yeah, Pistol, I've gotten some use, used it in a few different looks. And then Verb, I've discovered I really love it, like as an all over color. It's really pretty. It's just a wash of color. It is what I'm wearing today, if you can kind of see my eyes. I think it's just a pretty, it's not super pigmented shadow, but it's kind of nice sometimes if you just want to do like a pretty wash of color. And I think this is a good one that might be good for during the week for like work days as well, because it's a little, I mean, it's more silver. I tend to go with something more of a brown sort of neutral, but I think it's pretty, so I kind of want to experiment and use this one a little more. I have been enjoying all the looks though that I've been doing with Verb, so definitely want to get some more use out of this one in the upcoming month. Then I have Decay, which, as I mentioned, I hit pan on this one as well. It kind of had a dip, a weird sort of dip at the top, so I didn't really hit pan in the main, like the middle of the pan, which I think that would be another accomplishment as well, to actually hit pan in the middle like I did with Suspect. But I really like Decay. Of the shades in this palette, I think this one's my favorite. It's a little metallic. It's just a super pretty color, and I have been using this one as sort of like an all over the lid, sort of everyday sort of color. So I say over this past month, I'll probably focus on Decay and then Verb a little more than like Suspect for my like everyday sort of color. I think both of these are super pretty. Then I have Busted. Honestly, I don't know if I actually used Busted this past month. I would say I've used everything for sure. Busted's the question mark. So, Busted, I don't use it all alone. I kind of use it to deepen up looks. But honestly, I don't know if I've used it. So, hopefully I can get some use out of this this next month. And then finally a Blackout, which I do use. If I use a black liner, I will use it to like set the liner, kind of smoke out the liner a little bit. So I get a little bit of use out of this black shade. Honestly, I don't tend to use super dark shades like these last two. In a little looks, I kind of go for more medium colors. Something like Snake Bite is kind of the darkest that I would go most times, or like as like an all over the lid type of look. These I tend to only use occasionally. So that's what my palette looks like currently. I would say for the next month, I don't have any specific goals. I do, again, I want to try to use all of the shades. I kind of have that as an ongoing theme, because I don't want to only like focus on one or two shades and use them up. I kind of want to be still continuing to get use out of everything, and it might help me discover new ways to use the shadows by continuing to want to use everything. Like I discovered that I really actually like Verb a lot, so I want to continue using everything. I don't have any specific goals for this next month on hitting pan. I don't think I'm close to hitting pan on any of the other shades. So at this point, I won't have that goal, especially since I did hit pan already in Decay. It would be nice to hit more pan on this, or pan more in the middle of the shade, but we'll see with that one. But yeah, that's what my palette looks like currently after 3 months of use. And I did want to mention, you might have seen my birthday haul where I got the Modern Renaissance palette. That was about 2 weeks ago, now that I've got it. So I have used that palette a handful of times, maybe about 4 times now. And that's one thing with this. I don't want to restrict myself to only using this palette. I think it will make me kind of get burnt out from this project and kind of bored with it. So as I'm kind of inspired to use other things, I want to let myself use other things, but mainly focusing on this palette. Like I think if I use other palettes a handful of times just to keep things interesting and exciting, it will make me not get like sick of this palette or bored or resentful of this palette. So did want to mention that I'm not strictly just restricting myself to this palette, but I'm trying to just continually use this and then bring in other things as I feel so inclined. But yeah, I did want to mention that. But anyway, that is my update. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.